Antisocial personality disorder, or SPD. What is it? It is a disorder that affects how a person thinks or feels. It is a pattern of impulsive, irresponsible, and criminal behaviors. The symptoms can vary, but most common are manipulating others, violence against others, lack of respect or concern for others, anger issues, irresponsible behaviors, unstable or unhealthy relationships, not taking responsibility, and long-term relationships not lasting. Effects could lead to alcoholism, drug use or abuse, and attempted suicide risks. Causes for SPD still aren't exactly known since much about the disorder isn't clear. Genes could play a part in the disorder only if you're exposed to its triggers, like childhood trauma such as abuse or neglect, or unstable or violent family during childhood. Brain function can also play a part in causing the condition. Ted Bundy was an American serial killer, kidnapper, and rapist who committed numerous violent crimes during the 1970s. His crimes included the brutal murders of at least 30 young women. Although some estimates suggest the actual number may have been higher, Bundy was known for his charming and charismatic personality, traits that allowed him to manipulate and deceive his victims, as well as those around him, including law enforcement. He was arrested and convicted of several murders, ultimately being executed in 1989. Ted Bundy exhibited several hallmark behaviors associated with antisocial personality disorder (ASD), a mental health condition characterized by persistent patterns of disregard for the rights of others, lack of empathy, and chronic violation of societal norms. Bundy's ability to charm and manipulate those around him was one of his most striking features. He often used his good looks, intelligence, and charm to gain the trust of his victims, pretending to be injured or helpless to lure them into situations where he could overpower and attack them. This deception was not limited to his victims. Bundy also lied to police and psychiatrists during his trial and interviews, attempting to manipulate the narrative surrounding his crimes. Throughout his trial and in interviews after his arrest, Bundy demonstrated a profound lack of remorse for his actions. He did not express guilt for the pain and suffering he inflicted on his victims or their families. Instead, he often minimized the impact of his actions or blamed external factors, such as pornography, for his violent tendencies. Bundy's criminal behavior was not a one-off occurrence, but rather a pattern that persisted over several years. He committed multiple murders, often in different states, showing a complete disregard for the laws of society. This disregard for rules and laws is a key trait of ASD. Bundy's crimes were often sudden and violent, showing impulsivity and a lack of long-term planning. His aggression was directed at his victims in brutal and often sadistic ways. This impulsivity, combined with his ability to blend into society and appear normal, is a distinguishing feature of ASD. Bundy's relationships with others, including family and romantic partners, were often superficial and manipulative. He used people for his own gain, and his interactions lacked genuine emotional connection. Despite having several girlfriends and even a long-term partner, Bundy was never able to form meaningful, empathetic relationships, which is common in individuals with ASD. Many people assume that if you have a SPD, then you're cold, violent, and feel no emotions. This is because of how actors in movies make a SPD out to be. Our media and society's lack of understanding. Some myths are people with a SPD are violent. It is untreatable. A SPD is the same as a social and isn't preventable. Stigmas are people with a SPD are violent, killers are bad people, are devoid of empathy, and only have narcissistic traits. There has been some development in a SPD with understanding it, but there is a much as we don't know what causes it. We have better ways to make a SPD better to manage. 1 in every 4 adults get diagnosed and only start showing signs in 15. This disorder only affects between 6% to 3.6% of adults and is more common with men than women. MBT or mentalization-based therapy. This method can sometimes be used for SPD and is more popular. It is another form of therapy that encourages the patient to consider the way they think and how their mental state can affect their behavior. It helps with their problems by changing the way they think and behave. Medication. To manage the symptoms of SPD such as mood swings, impulsivity, and aggression, antidepressants and antipsychotic would be most helpful in many cases. Lithium and carbamazepine will help with aggressive and impulsive behaviors, and antidepressants may improve anger and general personality disorder symptoms. Lithium is very effective, affordable, and reduces the risk of suicide. But you can get lithium toxicity, and you have to do regular blood tests, and there is a chance of memory problems. Carbamazepine is affordable, easy to swallow, and a mood stabilizer, but skin reactions are common. It is not good mixed with birth control, and you need regular blood tests.
Thanks for coming in today. How have things been since our last session?
Same as always. People are still annoying, and I don't really care.
You mentioned last time that you got into an argument at work. Want to talk more about that?
Not much to say. My manager tried to blame me for something that wasn't my fault, and I told him he was the one who told me the wrong thing.
Do you think that reaction helped or hurt your position?
Don't care. It was his fault and not mine. He should have explained it better.
Do you ever think about the long-term consequences of those reactions in confrontational situations?
Why would I? I was not the one in the wrong.
I respect your confidence. Part of our work together is exploring whether some of those patterns might be limiting you more than helping. Would you be open to trying a different approach, even just once, and seeing what happens?
Maybe, but don't expect me to pretend to care about people just to make them feel better.
I wouldn't ask you to pretend, just to observe what changes when you respond differently. We'll take it one step at a time.
Fine, one step, but if it's pointless, I'm done.
That's fair. Let's start with that and see where it goes.